That was a really good reflective shot for Tristan. And me anticipating his really vertical ones that he tends to do, or eight, where just a straight vertical shot down that could really be anticipated easily and react to with a more diagonal upwards cut called a ankle five. I'm about to make a mistake right here. I'm way too far back weighted. Right here, yep. What I need to do is I should have pushed forward either with an elbow strike or a teep kick to just get him back off me.
I'm not sure who did that one.
Another mistake I tend to make is kicking when my opponent isn't advancing. So that's one of the main misconceptions a lot of people have about kicking. It's perfectly fine if your opponent is coming towards you. You just shouldn't kick when your opponent is defending themselves or you are the one that's attacking them.
Yep, need pressure. Cut.
A mistake you're going to see here is where when I step towards Tristan's backside, he switches his feet, which opens him up for being attacked on his weapon side. Here, I correctly felt that Tristan wasn't actually offending me. He was just jabbing to keep me away. But I made the wrong action of stepping straight forward instead of going towards his backside. And ended up getting my throat slit because of it. Here you're going to see Tristan's main issue throughout this match. When I circle him, he's just not used to that pressure, so he steps with the opposite foot forward, changing his lead, which opens him up to being attacked on either his offhand or his face because his weapon is no longer defending himself. Here I made a comment that I'm fighting him sort of like how you would fight a Muay Thai type fighter in Muay Thai kickboxing, which is kind of funny because if anything, my opponent Tristan was being everything but a Muay Thai fighter. He's mostly holding his ground, trying to be offensive at times. Yeah, he's not really countering or allowing me to take the pressure per se, except for when I force him back. So, yeah, funny how when you analyze these things, you can see clearly how different things actually are compared to how you feel them at the moment of fighting. Yet again, mistake I tend to make: don't kick unless your opponent is advancing on you. Tristan's mistake here is that since his legs are so far apart and his arms really vertical with a high elbow, it's pretty obvious that he's going to do a straight downward chop called an angle 8. So I just correctly predicted that and did a 5 to counter.
I'm hitting your blade a lot. Yep. Try not to. I'm trying to hit you though. Trying to get you to commit, huh?
You're about to see two really good examples of kicks and knife fighting, because right here his legs are really far apart and he is forward weighted, and the next one Tristan is advancing when I kick him, which is like perfect time. And right here you're gonna see a bad use of kicking that you don't want to do. You should never kick while you are advancing towards your opponent. That's just a recipe for disaster. I'm hesitant to call this an outright mistake because Tristan was effective with his Tansao, or spreading hand block, but because he was retreating when he did his downward cut, he just hit me with the very tip of his blade, and it was very superficial. Now right here, Tristan did good at cutting me, but he's so off balance that he can't do the correct block, which would have been an illustrissimo called a Cadena Royale. So he ended up doing a Friday, which ended up getting him cut. Now this one actually is a huge error though. When somebody does a trapping hand block called Paksao, do not just push straight up with your trapped arm. All you're doing is just keeping your weapon out of use. Instead, you should try going with the flow, allowing your arm to go down, and then hooking around to the outside so that you can end with a thrust, like a hooking thrust, called a junsao or running hand.